Fighting between Israel and Hamas is only escalating in Gaza, with the death toll now hovering above 1,200 people. Now, just today, there were two major disasters, one at a UN school and another at a busy city market, killing at least 30 people and wounding over 150 more. I attended a State Department briefing earlier where I asked about that extraordinarily high death toll and whether it will compel the U.S. to take a tougher stance with Israel. Take a listen.
Israel has long said that it has the right to self-defense. Of course, you've echoed that sentiment. And they've said this throughout this conflict. And even up until now, we have 1,200 people, over 1,200 people that have been killed, thousands more that have been injured. Is there going to be a point where you say, you know, this enormous amount of casualties is not justified?
Look, a lot of what you just said is true. And the first part, I'll start with the first part, that Israel does have a right to defend itself. If you lived in a city where rockets were coming from terrorists repeatedly, where you had to run to a bomb shelter repeatedly, I think you'd probably feel pretty strongly that Israel has a right to defend itself. We've announced again this week additional funding for the Iron Dome system, which does exactly this. But we have said that in their efforts to fight this threat, they do need to take additional steps to prevent civilian casualties. We know it's a challenging operating environment. We know it's very densely populated. You know, we, throughout conflicts we've fought in our history, have taken extraordinary steps in Afghanistan and Iraq to prevent civilian casualties, and we've called on the Israelis to do more.
When it comes to the UN facility being targeted, the State Department would not confirm that they believe Israel is responsible. They say that they are waiting for more facts to emerge. In the aftermath of those incidents, however, the Israeli military offered a 4-hour humanitarian ceasefire in specific areas of the Gaza Strip. But Hamas dismissed that partial temporary truce as a media stunt, saying it would not allow rescue workers time to retrieve casualties in combat zones that Israel had excluded from that ceasefire. Here's what the State Department had to say about that.
What we're focused on is an unconditional humanitarian ceasefire that lasts long enough to allow for serious negotiations to begin in Cairo and for urgently needed humanitarian assistance to get in. So obviously that's longer than 4 hours. So we're working with the parties on what that might look like.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was due to review progress on a ceasefire with his security cabinet today. At the same time, a Palestinian delegation was expected in Cairo for discussions. It's unclear what will come out of this latest round of talks. Last week, Secretary of State John Kerry failed to achieve a breakthrough, and this latest explosion of violence is only further dashing international hopes of garnering a long-term ceasefire. Reporting in Washington, Amira David, RT.